Son, where'd you find this?
Don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who acts like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico. They never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll.
What up, YouTube, Instagram, book, Rumble? Happy Monday. How's everybody doing? Hope all is well. I hope you started this week off the way that you wanted to. Shout out to Rob. Love the shirt, brother. Shout out to Sydney. I'm glad you can make it this evening. And shout out to the good people that's in the audience right now. See the title. This one was inspired last week by Rob. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this go. I have my thoughts on it, but I want to hear what he has to say. I want to hear what everybody got to say about this. This is going to be an interesting one. Let me bring everybody up on the big screen. Do me a solid, like, share, repost, let the people know that we are live. Much love to everybody who has been tapping in, supporting the channel. I got some stuff that I'm working on. Keep your eyes peeled. Yeah. Let's do this real quick. Yo. What up?
Yeah, happy Monday. I'm just glad to be on time.
Glad to see you both. How are you guys doing?
Well, what's up, Sid?
That's the highly favored.
Loving that San Francisco. I'm a 49er.
Oh, I had to pull it out, man. I had to pull it out real quick. It's been a minute since I wore this joint, though.
They're not even gonna listen. They're gonna be focusing on your hat.
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, 3207. What up? What's the word? How you feeling? How's your week going? Good over here. Blessed, man. I'm glad you could make it. Maybe you can give us a little insight on this topic this evening. Also, the pressures of Hollywood. Where are we going with this one, man? What are we talking about here? The peer pressure, the the secrecy, the betrayal, being a influencer. What are we doing with this one?
I mean, I figure. So, all right, I'll tell you a little backstory. My auntie worked on Broadway. She did the costumes, and then she was the one who helped the actors and the actresses get ready behind the scenes to do the next scene. So they'd do a scene, go back, see her, she'd get them right, and then get them out for the next. And that, that take up to the intermission, and then she'd be the one to get them ready for the intermission, and then the one to take them through the show. And being backstage, I noticed that a lot of the main actors and actresses that I saw were sad. They just looked sad. First of all, they was tired because all of the rehearsals and everything that they had to go through. And then also when they would get off, it was always 5-10 people waiting backstage, waiting behind the theater to talk to them. So they would have to sign autographs and everything. And then they would have to talk, and then some people would be selfish to where it'd be 12:30, one at night, and they would want to hold them there and have all these types of conversations instead of letting them go home. And especially on a Saturday, they just did 2 shows, which is crazy because they had to get there, rehearse, do the show, then rehearse some more to do the second show because they can't miss a beat. So I would notice that a lot of them was sad, and a lot of their lifestyles back then you had to kind of hide it. It wasn't outright like so. I looked at that behind backstage on Broadway for so many years to looking at Hollywood that it's hard for them to have productive relationships. It's hard for them to find happiness. It's hard for them once they break a certain ceiling, a glass ceiling, or reach a certain level, then all of a sudden it's like I just say all hell breaks loose. And that worries me a lot because that's like the path that I'm wanting to take in order to make the economics to help my people. But I'm looking at that, and then it's also even the thing for the rappers to where as soon as I'm looking at a lot of rappers like the last 5-10 years, as soon as they get to a certain level, now all of a sudden they got charges, they get all of the people that got videos on them. Everybody is trying to take a piece of them, and it just looks like people are unhappy, and that bothers me because it should be something that you do that you can get joy out of, and at the same time, it seems like as soon as you hit certain levels, the joy is just stolen right from you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this real quick. I'll turn it over. When I was younger and I used to watch all these actors and actresses, it was all that I could do, but not want to be one of them. But time goes on and you get introduced to social media and your own personal experiences kind of clash with this facade of reality that gets posted every single day, and you start comparing, you start thinking, well, hold up, wait a minute, how do you feel like me right now? That don't make no sense to me. You of all people should not be stressed, you shouldn't be angry, you shouldn't be worried about it. And then it's like, well, wait a minute, nah, this is no different than a regular 9 to 5 job. It's no different than working next to somebody that you are blood connected to. I think I'm gonna pass on this, especially if it's at the expense of me having to sacrifice something that is you can't buy it. Like I don't care what nobody say. Peace is one thing that you cannot replace. That's too much of a price for you to ask me to give up just so that I can have the spotlight on me. You know, I do think there are ways that you can be successful, but it's going to come at a different price. And I don't know if a lot of people are prepared for that. I'll just leave it there.
Yes, popularity, celebritydom is something that I think a lot of people want, kind of in the same way that most people want to be rich and most people want to be successful. But I don't think a lot of people understand the true costs of being truly famous. And there's there's a lot of research out there showing how fame changes your brain. Just like I've said on other podcasts, how money, excessive money, changes your brain. Fame does the same thing. And there's a lot of celebrities, obviously, that we've seen that have crashed out completely because of their level of fame. They could not handle the amount of fame, especially people that achieve fame at a young age because they haven't had the opportunity to develop themselves and stability, a routine and stuff like that, good habits before they hit this level of fame. And there's a lot of different ways that fame affects a person negatively. One of the big ones that I've read about, seen, is it causes a split personality essentially, because you have your famous side, your celebrity side, and then you have your authentic side. And if you are a very busy celebrity, it's hard to hold on to that self, the self that your family members know, your friends know. And it can be really hard to consolidate the two, and you end up losing yourself. Additionally, the busyness of fame, the expectations trigger a lot of mental health issues where you will develop addictions to things to cope with the stress, the busyness, the unrealistic expectations. That's why we see a lot of celebrities dealing with weight loss issues like bulimia and anorexia. We have a lot of them that have drug issues because they're using the drugs to keep up with the lifestyle, to keep themselves going, to deal with the mental health issues. Because if you're busy all the time, you're separated from your true self. You don't have the opportunity to slow down. You're at risk for depression. You're at risk for anxiety. You're at risk for mood disorders. And then adding medications on top of that, illicit and otherwise, that's going to contribute to that mental health decline, which is why we see so many celebrities that also lose their lives, either by their own hand or accidentally. So it's definitely not for everyone, despite most people actually wanting that for their lives. It takes a specific type of person, I think, to successfully be famous. But I think to be famous, you have to be willing to reject some of the benefits of that fame. Like a lot of the celebrities that I've seen that are still down to earth and aren't dealing with financial problems and mental health problems, they're the ones that have chosen to live ordinary lives despite being movie stars or actors or whatever they're doing. So I think there's a really careful balance that people are just not very good at doing, especially if you hit it really big, really fast, or start off really young.
I got a question from Mr. R.I. Ether, my brother from IG. He says, would Josh say rich and poor are extremes and the best way to be happy is to be right in the middle? I would love to be immortalized like famous authors or others who impact generations positively.
I think regardless, and it's the hardest thing for me, so I'm like the pot calling the kettle black, but I think you just got to be happy whether you're rich or poor. I'm learning. Um, the progression for me was, oh, you sell here, get a website. I'll support. When I got a website, nobody supported. When I started making music, they said, oh, make a good video. I made a good video. They said, oh, you need a website. Made a good website. Now they said, oh, you need $100,000 to $400,000 to get your song on the radio. You're not gonna get paid until you get on the radio. And I said, if I had $100,000, I wouldn't be rapping. You know what I'm saying? Especially 400. I expect with the times like now, I'd be saving it for rainy days and living off the interest. What I'm learning is that you have to learn how to become happy with yourself and know that as long as you did your best today, whichever way it go, be okay with that. And then also what I'm learning now too is to live in the moment, because a lot of times you never really get what you want anyway, but um, things might be happening, but they're not happening the way you see it. So that could be real depressing. Like sometimes I sit there like, oh, maybe my music is trash, or maybe this and that, maybe that. And it's like, no, that's not the case. It's just that things are moving slower because I'm not doing something right, and I haven't met the people to get me in the right direction yet. So I look at it like that versus because I be back and forth. I be back and forth. Oh, I'll wake up real depressed, like, oh, I'm still here in the same situation. I ain't making no money, da 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 da. And then it's like, no, things are progressing, just not how I want them to unfold. And I'm learning to appreciate these times because at the end of the day, you never get what you want. That's why I'm starting to understand why people say trust the process. So whether you got money or not, it pays to be happy. And I can tell you to your question, to his question, I've been to a bunch of third world countries, and they were they were the happiest people I ever met in my life. Also, all the hoods I've been in, we call the ghetto, those my people have been very happy because they have life and they have each other. And with the family connections and the people power, that overcomes everything. So I'll say again, you have to find your happy medium and be happy as long as you did your best, because whether you got money or not, it doesn't. It really don't matter.
I think based on research and based on honestly my own personal experience and what I've seen, there's a couple factors I think that really make people the happiest. One, there is a necessity to have your needs met. People that are the happiest are often, they have shelter, they have food, they have access to clean water, they have access to decent medical care. But they also are people that have prioritize, they know how to allot their time and energy to the things that are important to them. They're willing to prioritize things that are that they love. They're not living for somebody else and abiding by somebody else's schedule or maximizing every area of their life, because as intoxicating as it is to maximize every single arena of your life, that's going to burn you out super fast. The people that are the most happy are ones that are allow themselves to dedicate time to their friendships, to their family members, to hobbies that they care about, to habits that are important to them. And they're willing to live a life that gives them the time and space that they personally need. Everyone's different. Obviously, some people have much higher social tolerance than other people, where there's others that need a lot more time to decompress and be out of the public eye. But for the most part, I think people who are the happiest, they're they have boundaries. They allow themselves to have boundaries, and they make sure the people around them respect that. I think also these individuals genuinely take care of their health. They make an effort to make sure they're eating the right way for themselves. They're choosing to avoid substances that can affect them. And they're taking time for rest. People definitely underestimate the importance of rest and breaks, the chance to decompress from the life that they're subjecting themselves to. From professionals to celebrities, everyone needs a break at some point, no matter who you are, whether you're academic or you're in like the public eye. You need to give yourself time and space to do other things, to be yourself, to like take care of your needs. Nobody on 4 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep can genuinely be happy, because you're gonna be running on fumes. If you're not feeding yourself properly, you're not gonna be happy, because your body's dying. Basically, it can't support itself if you're not eating enough. So I think the happiest people are really ones that know how to take care of themselves and are actually willing to do so, despite what everyone else around them might be demanding of them. And so that would also come with that element of like being willing to stand up for yourself, having the self-confidence to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. I need to do this for myself.
On Saturday, I did a show, and I still had the clip just in case anybody wants to see it. I'll share it to you, but you can go back to this for reference. Saturday was the show that I just needed the right eyes on it. Kind of touches on this a little bit to a certain extent. The Secret Covenant, Empire of Illusion, Masonic Creed, John D. Rockefeller, 1880. And it goes on to basically say that everything that we are doing right now is a part of a bigger system, a bigger program. All of it was designed to have all of us stressed out under this false reality that we have more control over our life than we actually do. They're more or less regulating everything that we fundamentally desire or pursue. They take our weaknesses, they take our flaws, they take the things that we lust after, they put it in our face, and then we just go chasing it, thinking that we're doing it just on our own accord, when in reality, they have spokespersons, they have different people. And I've said this, and we've talked about this a million times. They have people that they use as foot soldiers to do the dirty work. Most of us aren't happy on the jobs that we're on. Most of us want to pursue music. Most of us want to be singers. Some of us want to get into art. Some of us want to be great at poetry. But there's always like this asterisk that attached to it. Are you popular enough? Do you have the right numbers to support you? Are you promoting enough? Are you staying up 10, 12, 13 hours a day to get your stuff visible? Are you in perfect condition physically? Do you have the right shape? Do you have the right bone structure and jawline and personality for this and all that? If you are going after anything in this world and it's not imparted in you spiritually, if you've taken the opinions and the perspective of human beings and you use that as a barometer of, all right, well, 20,000 people said this works, this looks good, so I'm gonna do this because that many people said do this, then you're in for disappointment. If it's something that you have a love and you had a love for it before somebody on social media told you to do it, you're probably going to be better off. Doing anything for the validation of people is never a good look, ever. On top of that, God has to be in it. If God ain't in it, it's definitely not going to work. You just wasting your time. Anything that you do in this world that doesn't have him involved in it, it's only going to last but for so long, because you can't get the level of satisfaction from it. You can't get the zeal from it. I give you an example. You can have a day where you just on fire. You done put out the best content. You done made the funniest post, the most. You done did some of the most creative work that you could have ever done on that particular day, and then you go into Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, or you have a week where it's just dry. You don't have nothing going on, no traction, no motion. If you don't have the same love for it without all of the applauding, that's a problem. I think there is a to answer the question though, I think there is a way to find that success. I don't think success necessarily means that you have millions and millions of dollars. You can have an average life and be successful. You can make an average living and be successful. You can connect with your city and be successful. You might not make it out into the general public.
Hit your gong on that.
You know what? People, it's like if I sit here and wait for 20,000 comments to validate what I talk about up here, I would never speak. I would just shut up. I would never post. I would never upload. If I was waiting on a woman or waiting on a guy to shake my hand or do this or do that, I would never get anywhere. My peace doesn't come from somebody saying good job. My peace comes from knowing that I did something that I enjoy doing with or without your consent. Because everybody that I'm seeing as an influence or whatever, they miserable. They in drama, conspiracies, they got infidelity issues, they spreading diseases, they suicidal, they caught up in files that they shouldn't be in, pedophilia, all type of stuff. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but
to the we was in Cancun one time, Mexico. Outside, we went to Xcaret, the natural water park, natural theme park. Shout out Chef Nutty too, before I forget. He be on point every time. Um, and they took us to the jungle to get to the park, and they had like these clay huts, nice clay huts, but they had cots. I mean, hammocks. They slept in hammocks, and they had two doors, kind of like shotgun houses in the South, with a door in the front. You could walk straight out the back. And I remember having a conversation with some people, and we was like, y'all got to sleep in hammocks, and they was like, yeah, they're very comfortable. Plus, we sleep in the hammocks up off the floor so that the snakes could go through. And we was like, coming from America, we like, oh my God, snakes and And they was like, listen, we live way better than y'all. And I was like, what you mean? How? Y'all don't have AC. And he was like, we're not sick. We don't have cable to worry about. We don't have all the bills you got. Basically, we don't have all of the pressures that you guys have in the United States to feel like you're adequate. They said we're good, and
Bang, bang.
we stay off the beaten path on purpose. And that taught me a whole lot because what I'm learning is that when you have a lot less, you're more happy because it's a lot less to maintain, a lot of less little things you got to go to. The more you have, the more you got to maintain. Then when it comes to the arts and the entertainment and the sports or whatever, I'm finding out you have to balance to where are you doing it from the love of your heart, or are you doing it to get money? And what I'm realizing is that if you're doing it to get money, then there's some things you're gonna have to do. Um, and a lot of times it's stress now because it ain't about talent. You can have all the talent in the world. A lot of times you got to do something strange for some change, and that gets weird. You know what I'm saying? And then that also drives you. It's an emotional roller coaster because all day you feel like you ain't have it, or you could hit, like you said, you could hit, and then this week, and then next week, all of a sudden it crash. You crashing down. Now you feeling like what happened to me? Blah 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 blah. Or the people love you one day and then they throw you away. So in my case, I was already going crazy for free. I did all my scandals and everything for free. So like I said, we had to sit up here one day and maybe give it that. But at the end of the day, it's like how far are you willing to go? And then you get to the sacrifice. Do you got to sacrifice? I don't know how much is true or not, but I'm looking at a lot of people when they hit certain levels, they losing family members, they losing confidence, they losing like all of a sudden you sign a $10 million deal, $10 million deal, $20 million deal, and now you lost this person or you lost that person. And that's scary, you know what I'm saying? Because the wildest thing about America is that on TV, it looks like this is the place to be. You know what I'm saying? But everywhere else, like I said, I've been, they were generally happy. Now, taking I had to take in my mind that a lot of people come here because they can, get the economics to take care of their family. But at the same time, in those other countries that I've been to, and in some hoods, neighborhoods in the United States, man, those people was kicking it. They lived the best life. Like, as a matter of fact, if you know that here, if you want to have the best time, most of the time you have to go where the people are struggling because they live the best life. They're the most innovative. They're the ones who learn how to make $1 out of 15 cents. They're the ones who make, take lemons, turn them into lemonade. So, it's about sacrifice. But my only thing is that if you have this talent, at the same time, there should be some kind of compensation where you're able to take care of your family without having to go through all of the drama.
This is something, what you were saying, this is something that you can definitely see reflected in people who have lost everything. People who have lost their homes entirely to a fire, or who have lost their homes to a hurricane, or lost their whole family in a disaster. It's because when you go through that level of loss, it makes you realize just how little of physical property actually matters to them. Because when you lose everything, you realize that it's the family members and the community that you're missing. You're not like, you didn't lose your home and you're sitting there like, man, I can't believe I lost my favorite pair of shoes. Oh, that jacket that I got at the thrift store. Like, dang, I'm like, it's so much deeper than that. You lose your sense of security. You lose your sense of like sometimes hope, but that it makes you recognize what actually matters to you. And so I think a lot of people that have experienced nothing, just like you said, the people that are struggling the most, those are the ones that recognize what is actually important, what to dedicate their time to, which is why I think you also see a personality change in people who are able to own everything, who are highly rich, who are extremely famous, because they're able to get whatever they want, but that enables a sense of entitlement where they feel like now people owe them something. If they want it, because they're able to get whatever they want, they should just be able to get it, even if they don't have the resources or whatever. They still think like people owe it to them to give it to them just because they have that habit of being able to get anything that they want. Also, going back to what both of you were saying a little bit earlier, passion is a huge component as well, because a lot of people subject themselves to drudgery with things that they don't care about, because, oh, well, it'll make me a lot of money. Like, I could be a lawyer, I could be this, but they don't actually care what they do. So there's no life or vigor in the efforts that they put in. And when you have to do something that you don't care about and dedicate all your thought and time and energy to it, you're not going to be happy, because you're constantly going to be thinking of the things that you do care about and envying people that do that, and wishing that you could be a famous writer, singer, whatever your passion is. You're going to be so busy doing other things, it's going to remain like a to-do list in the back of your mind. In the same way that owning a lot of stuff clutters the mind and keeps you from doing things that are important to you, following a career that doesn't align with who you are does the same thing. There's a psychological phenomenon where if you have a really, really messy house, it's hard for you to focus on anything, because your mind is constantly going to be obsessing over, like, oh, I have to clean the kitchen, oh, I have to clean the desk, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this with the car, I have to pay these bills, I have to do all these things. And so procrastination takes away from the things that you do enjoy, because a lot of people have they kind of do everything else but the things that they have to do, and neglect the things that they really truly care about, or the things that matter, or would enable them to do the things that they really care about. And so the people that are the happiest, even if they're not famous, are the ones that are giving into their passion, that are allowing themselves to pursue the things that really matter, that stick in their mind as the thing that they're called to do. And I think that's another thing that happens with like celebrities, is they're so caught up in maintaining the lifestyle, they start to drift towards doing whatever they can to maintain the lifestyle that they had before, or that they have currently. And so it ends up it becomes not a passion. It becomes a drudgery to them, because they're not focusing on the things that they love. They're just starting to do whatever they can to maintain the lifestyle that they have. For example, not exactly the best example, but it's the one that comes to mind. Kylie Jenner, I think, or one of them. She is like doing mobile game advertisements and stuff like that, just because she's going broke, and those are the best gigs that she can get right now. And I guarantee you, she doesn't care about that stuff. She's probably not happy doing that stuff, but she's doing it because she has to. I know this is just TV, but I've been watching Monk with my family, the detective with OCD. He did one of the episodes they did recently was this woman was getting a law degree, and she knew nothing. Like, she was not good at her job. She was in school, like, she didn't know any of the actual laws. She didn't know the terminology and anything like that, because she wanted to be a baker. And even though it's a movie or a TV show, it still reflects how a lot of people live. Like, they have that dream, I want to be XYZ, but they go to college and they get the most expensive degree to get the most expensive job, even though they don't care about that particular job. And so they're basically wasting their life on something that they didn't care about. And we're seeing this now, where you have 50, 60, 70-year-old people retiring and regretting every moment. They're like, I worked 40 years at a job that I did not care about, and I wish that I had done XYZ. And so I think there's that passion is very much, I mean, sadly, it's not possible with everyone because not everyone is going to be successful in what they do. There is like a market, and with consumerism and stuff like that, it's harder and harder to make it as a passionate artist or passionate whatever you want to do. But I think a lot of people also deny themselves the opportunity in the first place, thinking that there is no way that they can do whatever that they want to do. So I think there's a lot of people that are just kind of going through life denying themselves the things that are most important to them because they just think that it's not possible for them and don't even bother trying. And I myself can, I've had that experience before where I went to school for marine biology and I got really intimidated by the math. And so I switched my major to psychology because I was like, oh, I only have to do statistics. And when I graduated from psychology, I found for like probably a good 2 years, I was in this rut where I was just like, I don't care about this degree. I just got this degree that I don't know what I want to use it for because it doesn't align with my purpose. Like I've always been very much into the environment, into animals, into everything. And even though I was drawn to the idea of psychology because I find it interesting, none of the jobs seemed appealing to me. I'm like, I looked at so many different things. I was like, well, maybe I can be a 911 dispatcher. Maybe I could be a disaster scientist, or maybe I could be a lawyer. And I had so many different random careers that I'm like, oh, I'll try that. But then when my son was born, I forgot exactly what triggered it. But I had this awakening where I'm like, I could go back to school and redirect my life. Like I could put myself back on the path that I originally wanted to do, which is what motivated me to get my master's in environmental science. And I've always had writing in my blood. That's always been my passion. And when I graduated with my degree, I was like, okay, I have what I believe are the credentials for people to take me seriously. And so now I can pursue my writing. Now I can turn this into something that I actually care about and actually want to do. And I've never felt more fulfilled, more in line with what I feel like my path is. And so I understand to a small degree how that feels. And I can't even imagine doing that for 40 years where you're like constantly dreaming of like, I want to be a writer, I want to be a baker, I want to be whatever. But you still work that corporate job, or you still work in whatever job that you manage to get. So I think passion is a huge component that people really deny themselves with the expectation that, well, no, all I need is a job that pays for me, that will give me a good life, and then I'll be happy. But they're not, because they're not doing anything that actually aligns with their purpose and gives them a reason to push forward. People need goals. People need things that they can work for, that they're proud of. But a lot of people deny themselves that with the whole American dream ideal. Like, well, if I just have the house and the car and the 2 kids and whatever, I'll be fine. But they're not. They're lying to themselves.
All of it is by design. I mean, a lot of families do not educate each other in a way where you're giving your offspring a chance to have the type of confidence to go after things that might just bring them that type of peace and happiness. And to compare what success looks like to one person versus another, I'd be wrong to try to do that, because to me, it doesn't really matter if you have the red carpet treatment or not. As long as you are stable, you're healthy, you're doing what you actually enjoy doing, and you're not force fed to do something that you don't really want to do, cool. I'm all on board with that. Everything else, I always see the negative backlash for it. And it's only now that I'm not so concerned with trying to impress anyone, and I'm doing what I actually want to do, regardless of how anybody else sees it. It's like, it's better you try now than later. They scared everybody and saying if you don't have a job, you can't pay bills. And if you can't pay bills, then how are you going to live? How are you going to survive? But all of it is smoke and mirrors. It's a mirage. And I was saying this to somebody earlier. Do you really think that the Congress, the president, do you really think all of those people could do a damn thing to us if we said, you know what, I'm done with the laborious work. I'm about to do what I want to do. And that means that you're not going to get paid this month or next month. You're not going to get paid for the car insurance. You're not getting this. You do you think Donald Trump and Pam Bondi is going to get in their car, drive country to country, state to state, and manually turn off all your power, turn off your cable, turn off your Wi-Fi? Do you think they can go to the military, pick up every gun, and kill everybody? If the army decided, I'm not listening to you, goofy, red and orange, whatever the hell you want to call it, I'm not listening to you. Make me go over here to Israel. Make me run these streets. Make me cut their power off. Make me do. They can't make nobody do nothing for real. We have the numbers, but they made us believe that they have all this control, but they really don't. They don't have nothing without us. So I think the bigger question is, what do you identify happiness with? I asked this earlier too. What's more important, peace or happiness? Where does your happiness really come from? Does your happiness come from what the world wants for you, or does it come from what you and what God wants for you? Where does your happiness actually come from?
I think it comes from having time to think. Most important, having time to think, see what you're doing, time to look within. And that takes time, especially if you've got kids, you're working 40, 80, 100 hours a week. Some people working 150, 160. One of my brothers told me, he said, yo, I see what you're trying to do, but if you sleeping more than 2 to 4 hours a night, you're not going to be successful. And we argued for like 3 days, and I'm still not successful because I choose sleeping 6 to 8 hours over 2 to 4 because I don't like having the 6. But I think happiness will be from having time to think and then having the freedom to pursue your desires as long as you're not hurting anyone. I think that's where it comes from. And that's the hardest thing to realize because, like y'all said, Sid, you said, Chef said in the comments, you get gassed up here to chase. There's never enough to chase. You gotta have this, you gotta have that, you gotta have this, you gotta have that. And what I'm learning is that the best you could do is to be able to take care of your family. So I think happiness comes on a case-by-case analysis. So I can only explain it for me, but the happiness that I do get, because I'm sad a lot on why my things are not going. But I'm also happy that I get to wake up and go after it again, because that's how I know first, that's what I love doing. And then second, a lot of times the money, not all money is good money. So if I gotta take a loan, if I gotta take, they'll be calling me right now. And if I didn't recoup their money or whatever, and I had to go work for McDonald's, then they'll be wanting my McDonald's check. You know what I'm saying? So in essence, I'm satisfied at where I am because it took so long to get here, and then I didn't even see myself here in the first place. So like I said, it's a case by case analysis. But I think the happiness comes from having time to think and being free to pursue your desires in a safe way. And then what you said for the peace and the happiness, I think you have in order to have happiness, you got to be at peace, and vice versa. I don't think you can have one without the other.
Real quick, I got you real quick. I just want to say this because I never had this particular conversation before. I'm just going to put this out there real quick. If you are interested in being a mod, there are a couple rules. We don't disrespect the panel ever. You have to be consistent. I'm not expecting you to be here every day, but consistent enough to where I can trust that you're going to be there to maintain the comment section. So anything outside of that, we can talk about that later, but I just wanted to answer that question. Cindy, you got it.
I have a slightly different take on happiness because just from what I've found in my psychology research, happiness, I think one of the things that people mistake with happiness is that it's temporary. I think a lot of people think happiness is once you achieve it, you'll always have it. But I think peace comes when you accept that happiness is only a fleeting state of mind, a fleeting experience, that it's something to be savored, but it's not a permanent or stagnant achievement. It can come and go, even if your life is good. You could have everything that you want, but still not be happy. You can also have a horrible life, but still be happy. So I think peace is really when you're content with what is, with who you are, with how you're living, regardless of how it makes you feel. Because I think you can have peace in tumultuous situations if you have the trust that that also is a fleeting moment. Because I think the thing that gives people the most amount of peace and hope is when they know that nothing in life is permanent. Everything is a temporary state. There's research that they've done on Holocaust survivors, and they found that the people that survived were actually the ones that chose to give up hope of rescue and just accepted what they were experiencing and basically made the most of it. They adapted to their situation, and they found happiness and comfort in the tiniest ways that they could to allow themselves to get through that situation. Whereas the ones that held on to hope incredibly hard that somebody was going to come there and rescue them, they were the ones that ended up dying of hopelessness. Basically, they kind of it's a paradox almost, but they were so reliant on someone else saving them that they suffered more because they were waiting and waiting, and it built up their anxiety and it built up their intolerance for where they were. So I think like people who give up hope tend to be the strongest because they learn to make it by in other ways. And so I think that really relates to a sense of peace where even if you're in a most extreme circumstance, you have the knowledge that it's going to be over eventually, and so you just have to wait it out and make the most out of the situation. Another kind of metaphor that it makes me think of is, it's an extreme example, but the Tibetan monks that used immolation as a form of protest, they did a study on their brains and what they went through, and they actually had a lower sensation of pain than most other people would have, and they're able to stay in this peaceful state despite going through what most people would experience as extreme agony, like setting yourself on fire. But they had this sense of acceptance that, one, what they were doing was for purpose, was going to make the world better, was going to send a message, but that they were also going to a better place. They're going to their version of heaven. I don't remember exactly what they call their heaven, but their version of eternal life. And so they're, despite, like, they probably weren't happy, but they remained peaceful through that experience. And again, it's a very extreme example, but I think it's a evidence of how maintaining your peace really has an effect on how you experience life and your sensations of pain. I think a lot of people that are pursuing lives that are beyond, like, different than what they want, all these celebrities and stuff, they're an immense amount of pain. Like, you can see it with how they act in public, how they become disorderly, they can have drug problems, they can have mental problems, they cut off their friends. They're not genuinely happy because they're not at peace with their life. They're not at peace with their choices. They're not comfortable with the situations that they're putting themselves into. So I think there's a peace and acceptance are really one and the same. And through acceptance, you can find happiness. But again, like I said, it's accepting that happiness is only temporary. It's something that you can enjoy in the moment, but it's not going to be there forever. Similar to the same mentality that people have with mortality. You can have more peace in your life when you accept that your life is not going to go on forever. I think the people that, like certain billionaires that think that we're going to be able to achieve eternal life alive, they probably have very deep-seated anxiety because they're trying to continue their life and perpetuate their life, and they don't have peace with the life that they have been given. So yeah, I think they do go hand in hand, but I don't think happiness itself is predicated by peace, but I think peace helps you enjoy happiness when you do have it.
Yeah, happiness to me has always been a fleeting emotion. Like it comes and goes. Because you can have the best day in your life, and then all it takes is your coworker or supervisor or a phone call change all of it. You ruin your whole mood. You was happy as hell. Now that's gone. Get in a relationship with somebody. You go through that honeymoon phase. And guess what? You get into that one argument. Now you're rethinking the whole relationship. But you just had one situation, 2 situations, 3. It might have been small. It might have been kind of like that. But it's like, I don't think a lot of people think long-term results. All right, I want to do this. I want to get with this person, or I want to pursue this, but I have to really think about who I'm going to have to work with, who I'm going to have to communicate with. Am I really internally equipped and prepared to take on the extra task, like Rob had said earlier? Am I prepared to take that on when it's presented to me? autographs, tweets, reposts, hundreds of people commenting this and saying this and doing that. Uh, you got to worry about if your accountant is making sure your funds are going to and fro according and they ain't stealing from you. You got to be at peace knowing that you got all this mess going around, controversy, people lying, people throwing your name in the mud. Can you still be able to talk to paparazzi without screaming and cussing at them and yelling at them? Can you be okay with knowing that people are going to lie on you and make memes and fabricate stories about you? Are you going to be able to just smile through all of it and keep doing your job? Like it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. I would rather have peace than happiness personally. I think if you have peace, you're always going to have happiness. Peace to me, peace to me, different level of self-awareness that can be expressed. It's like you're trained to be able to deal with things that everybody else will crash out over. Hence why you see all these murders and just you name it. Like I'm not ever crashing out on catching my spouse in the bed with somebody else. I'm not taking my anger out on you or them. I'm not going to jail or spending the rest of my life behind bars over somebody who chose somebody over me. I'm not losing my channel or my platform over a troll. I'm not getting involved with rage baiting. Um, yeah, if I ever reach any type of success, my version of it is probably going to be different than Rob, Sydney's, Chef's. Mine's would be quiet. I don't have to be seen. I don't need pop. I don't need all that. Uh, and I'm just doing me. I don't have nobody over my shoulders calling me on the phone, sending me a text message while I'm live streaming. Say, hey, you can't say that. You need to retract your statement. You gotta take that down. I don't want none of that. I would rather just be here and content. And that's pretty much that. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot with Hollywood. I don't even look at Hollywood the same anyway, bro. I don't look at the music industry the same. Um, I don't trust none of them people. You know, it's like are are any is anyone who made it who they were when they started out? Are they better than what they were when they started out or worse? That's what I always ask myself. Shout out to G14, man.
G said you were already Hollywood, bro.
Yeah.
He said sit down, be humble.
I know, right? I'm blessed. I'm highly favored. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. I didn't grow up with all of the. If I had to live off the land, I would be fine. I know how to fish. I watched enough YouTube. I can build me an underground hut. Yeah, yeah. I'm cool. I don't need all this. I don't need the devices. Most of our food made us sick. Most of the TV is brain rot. I wouldn't really be missing nothing. So if y'all want to add anything in here for the people or anybody in general, I got the floor. I'm content. I'm I've never really even been envious of famous people. You see them with the cars and all that stuff. It's like you got it, but are you renting that car? Are you renting that house? Do you really own it? Do you really have the money you say you do? Because XXL magazine they did an article and saying no, you don't really own that. You're really renting that out. So These people don't really even be having the type of lifestyles that people think they do, and they don't really even be happy like that. So I'm good. I yield the mic.
I want to say this, especially for any young people out here, because I've been teaching this a lot of the last month or two. I realized we all want to be superstars, including me. I'm gonna be a rapper when I grow up, hands down. Um, but I've been teaching my kids that the dentists is the ones, the heart surgeons, the brain surgeons, the the mechanical engineers, the civil engineers, the nuclear engineers, the civil attorneys, the tax attorneys. That's the one who the superstars live by. The ones building their houses, they eye doctors. That's the ones. Um, and I feel like now that I know what I know, it'll be easier to be an eye doctor than it'll be to be Steph Curry or LeBron James. It'll be easier to be an aerospace engineer than it'll be to be Cardi B or Glorilla. So I think we got to start looking outside the box and finding other things because, like y'all said, happiness come and go, and fame is fleeting. You know what I mean? And you can make a little bit of money if you save it right. You could have more than anybody else. So I think we got to start looking within and looking at other means to be successful, other than what we think need to be. And that's a note to myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I keep trying, and I be up and down, up and down, up and down. And I definitely don't want to go through the drama. I already have my drama for free, so I don't want to get to those levels and all of a sudden now my name is plastered for scandal this and scandal that, especially because I've made some kind of money. Yeah, the welders, the plumbers, the electricians, the AC people, the roofers, the builders, you know what I'm saying? They the ones that's really getting it. And then when it comes to getting money, most of the people that's getting money, they wouldn't even tell you. You know what I'm saying? And you don't get rich by spending money. So I just want to encourage people to look at other things to where you'll still be a celebrity in your own right versus trying to aspire to something that's unreachable because to me, the American dream is a facade. And even I can let you know now, even if you own your house, you'll still have to pay taxes on it. And if you miss the taxes by like 1 year, they'll take your house. So to a certain extent, you know, you don't really own nothing. But I will say this: if you are going in those fields, um, make sure you surround yourself with the right people. Make sure that when you do attain some levels of success, that you have some kind of system in place to where you remember those people who helped you get there, because you never make it alone. And then also find your balance, like Sid said, get your rest. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, meaning know when to quit, know when to let go of some things. You know, you could try, and then keep failing. And you know, find a happy medium, have a place for you to go to, or a person to where you're not over dependent on becoming a burden, but have the people to celebrate when everything is good, and then still celebrate when everything is bad. It's just as long as you try. That's what I learned, and this is what I'm gonna end with. That I learned that as long as I did my best before I went to sleep, I'm gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? Whether I get it or not, all I know is that I tried. And like Chef said earlier, I'm not a shoulda, coulda, woulda person. So as long as you put in your best effort forward, then it's okay. And if you know if you got goals and everything, but you know, like Sid said, make sure your family is not neglected. Make sure your home is not neglected. Make sure that the basics are taken care of, so that you can have time, so that just in case it doesn't work, you have something to fall back on.
I thought I'd end with a poem that I have. This one I wrote about going against what matters to you most. So I thought it would be really fitting to read. But before I start. I just wanted to say, in general, I think the happiest people in life, the ones that have the most peace, the ones that are like the reason why we associate celebrities with not being happy, it's because they're not actually living for themselves anymore. They're living for everyone else. And I think that's probably the biggest factor in people's happiness is when you live for other people, regardless of for the purpose of money or to avoid retribution or to make your parents happy or whatever the reason is. There's a lot of reasons why people would give up themselves to be something else that they don't care about. I think those are the people that are the unhappiest. The people that are the happiest, the most at peace, are the ones that have decided to do what matters to them the most, despite what everyone else tells them. The people that pursue their passions, that live the way that they want to live without caring what anybody else thinks. They're not going to sacrifice the way that they want to live to make other people happy. And I think that's really the biggest component and why so many celebrities are not able to have the happiness they think they can have, because literally when you're famous, you're doing what everyone else is telling you to do. Their managers, their whatever they're called, agents, they're telling them what gigs to do, what places to travel to, what people they should and shouldn't hang out with, how they should post online. And then there's also the expectations of fans, because once you're a certain level of fame, your fans are going to expect certain things from you. And if you don't keep replaying that and giving them more of what they want, they're not going to be happy. And oftentimes you can lose fans if you pursue things that you want because the fans are like, this isn't what I came here for. And when you're addicted to fame, that can be really hard to consolidate. So yeah, I think really the biggest aspect is not losing yourself, not allowing yourself to give up who you are to make other people happy. So this poem is called Prices We Pay. Who am I? What have I become? I am alone while on this run. Yet as I follow this beaten path, I'm facing forward, but looking back. This is not me. It's not myself. I've put my dreams upon a shelf. I'm careless and falter. With no focus, I lapse. I stupidly let leaves hijack my grasp. Instead of giving into the push, I chose to rest inside this bush. Bleeding, trapped, disoriented, dazed. I could have continued, yet I chose to stay. Like the voices inside my head, this tangled prison wants me dead. Taking numbers, stealing souls, with no shame saying, you don't need goals. No matter which way that you disobey, the thorns in your side will forever remain. No matter your genius, they'll always return. A tendril's convenience will rob what you earn. Beware of the vines that look nice as swings, for fun and entrapment is all they will bring. They'll say it's required lest you be friendless. Your mind will re-ask you, the calls will be endless. But you need your life back without the distractions. Cut yourself free from the constant reactions. Relearn what life means and find yourself new. Don't let the branches tell you what to do.
Shout out to the people in the building. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. Y'all have a blessed evening. Enjoy the rest of your night. Beautiful poem to end the show. I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. I think I changed the time. It's probably going to be 8. So tap in with us, you know what I'm saying? And be safe out here on the road. And we out. Oh, do me a solid before you go, if you don't mind.
What's the goddamn button?
Peace. Oh, and rest in peace to Well, rest in peace to my man from Back to the Future, man. That was tough.